Good evening, my lettering friends. I'm here for your nightly chat on brush lettering for Love Your Lettering. Good evening. So here we are. We are at the end of the day. Today's post for Love Your Lettering was handwriting with a brush pen. Hi, everybody. Good evening. So thanks, those of you that also joined me for the Mommy Scopes Mom Hop. That was fun. Hi, Paula. But I know we were kind of behind on schedule, and so I figured I would hop on real quick and get back to lettering. Hi, Elisa. I got your email today. Thank you. I was going to write back. Hi. Sweet Swirls Des. That's one of my cake decorating friends, or cookie decorating. Hello. So how many of you worked on your page of brush lettering today? Did it help to see the different Viviana? I'm sorry, I see the Des and I think that that's your name. Viviana and cakes. Okay, I'm gonna try. Elisa's pens came today. She got the Fudenosuke pens. Have you tried them out yet? I really do love them. They're some of my favorites. Oh, hi, Tori Michelle. Is Tori your first name? I will introduce myself. For those of you who might be here for the first time, my name is Lisa. I blog at Looking at Life Creatively, which is creatively.com. So yeah, we're all still a little bit behind. I'm a week behind. So this month, for the month of October, for my 31 days writing challenge, I presented you with the challenge to learn to love your lettering. And it was, yeah, it is easier to get the hairline on the upstroke. 31 days to love your lettering, and we started at the very basics of handwriting, and we've kind of moved through creative lettering now. And this week our focus is on using a brush pen. Right now, brush lettering is everywhere that you look. If you are a font geek like me, or a typography geek, then you will notice that you see brush lettering in everything. My blog is CreativLEI.com. If you look over to my profile, there is a URL in there. I do not have a YouTube. I mean, I have one, but I don't really broadcast on YouTube. I'm just here on Periscope, and I'm on the blog. And these nightly Periscope chats do get embedded from the Catch version onto the blog post that goes with it. So these chats that coordinate with the assignment, then they get embedded to the bottom of the blog post. Is there a day and time? Oh, is it daytime where I am? No, it is nighttime. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Maryland, and it is almost 11 o'clock. It's late. But this is usually the time when all my children are sleeping, so I can get on and there can be relative quiet and not so much chaos as there is in the daytime. So I truly appreciate the East Coast girls that stay up to do this session live with us. And then those of you who are in more reasonable time zones, all the better. But then you can always catch the catch on either on catch.me/creatively, or you can find it on the blog post that it coordinates with. So today's post is using a brush pen for handwriting, and the assignment was really, and I'm sorry, I'm looking off because I have my laptop here, to just kind of print and cursive in kind of a natural hand, not necessarily calligraphy, but incorporating the change of the pressure that you write with to get that calligraphy look with the brush pen. So what is on my hand? You've never seen this before. This is henna, which is kind of like a natural temporary tattoo. It's drawn on with henna paste, and the paste dries and flakes off. And then over the course of a couple days, the stain darkens, and then over the course of a couple weeks, it will fade away. So it's just a temporary decoration. It has its roots in Indian and Middle Eastern cultures. They use it to mark milestones and life celebrations and weddings and things like that. And we do it in my household just as decoration. We sometimes choose symbols or words that have meanings for us, but we really do it as decoration, and we just appreciate the art. So yeah, and actually there's a replay that should still be available because it was just this evening of me applying the henna onto one of my daughters. So yeah, there's lots of good stuff over there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera and get prepared to show you guys some demonstrations for tonight before I have you on here too long, because I know your time is valuable. So here is my page from today, and so I've got the alphabet in print. I've got some exercises just on the different letter forms, and then I've got cursive, and then some words, and then the capitals. So that's what we've got, and I've started to put in a variety in the samples just so that you guys can see that type of stuff. So that's tomorrow. This is modern calligraphy. So I've got some blank graph paper in front of me. I'm just gonna get the feet of this tripod all fixed. Write the name of the pens. Yes, they are actually linked in the blog post, the pens that I'm using. My book, this is just a composition book. The brand is Tops, and I don't remember exactly where I purchased it from, but it is a 4x4 quad ruled composition book, and in the beginning of this series what we did was we took washi tape and taped together 2 sheets so that our inks would not bleed through the pages. And so we've just been adding to it each day, and probably at the end we'll cover them to make them nice. Okay, so let's see, I've got a few different brush pens that I'll use to show you because I know that each of you has gotten different brush pens. So the ones that I most commonly recommend are the Tombos. Yeah, it's all the supplies that I recommend are listed in the index of this series. So this is the Tombow Fudenosuke pen, and this is the soft tip. And so that's the black or gray barrel. So doing the alphabets, and I've given you guys a little bit of a peek at alphabets the previous nights, even when we were doing, we started off with pencil just to sort of get the feel for the pressure. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. And so we'll start with an A, and as I said earlier in this post, it's really not a matter of the slope that you're working at. You can work at an angle or you can work straight up and down. The focus with the brush pen is really on the pressure. So our downstrokes, we're going to really put weight on the pen, and then on the upstrokes, we're really going to be barely grazing the paper with the pen. So it's got an A. Oops. Sorry. I have a little one that needs some medicine. Where's the cup? Does she need the cup? No, this will be fine. Okay, there you go. Okay. So there's the G. And the H, the stem, is going to be weighted, a kind of hairline, and then down again. The I, there's not really much change. The J, when you come back up, that's going to be, it's an upstroke, so it's going to be barely grazing the paper, and you'll get a nice hairline there. And then the K is there, L, when I use the brush pens, I really do tend to write in a mix of print and cursive, and it just sort of works. Francesca, do you have her? So how many of you are practicing along while I write? What are the spots that you're finding most tricky? So, and then you're practicing along. Awesome. So with cursive, there's really not a whole lot of change. I do have more of a slope in my cursive. And then you're just using those hairlines to connect the letters. Still using the pencil, that is fine, because in all honesty, you can really learn this technique with the pencil and then move on to a brush pen later. Are you okay, Annalise? Okay. So how are you with Live in Life, North Carolina? The dual brush is difficult to get the hairlines. I agree, it's difficult for me to get the hairlines with the dual brush also. Are you right-handed or left-handed? If everything is thick, then you are holding the pen wrong, or you're putting way too much pressure on it. When you're on the upstroke, okay, so I have the Pip brush in front of me, and I also have the Tombow dual brush in front of me, so I'll show you guys those. Okay, so for my right-handed girls, so of course I'm lefty, so I'm pushing the pen, and so I sometimes have to change the position of my hand. Thanks, Stephanie, it's good to have you here. I sometimes have to change, you can take that, the position of my hand so that I really can get on the point of the pen. So sometimes you might have to practice that a few times. For those of you that are right-handed, you are pulling the pen. So you're going to be coming from this side. And I am not right-handed. I do not claim to be, but I do know the proper way to hold the pen. So it's really about concentrating on just letting the tip of the pen graze the paper, because then on the downstroke, you would be adding weight and pulling it down. So, you feel like you're writing in the air. Yeah, it's almost that far away from the paper. You really are just kind of grazing the paper with that tip as you come up to get the hairlines. So I don't know if that helps at all. So I do have to, let me see. And of course my pen is bent to go with my left hand. If I was coming from the right hand, now I probably won't get as good hairlines with my right hand. Of course, my right hand is certainly not as smooth, but hopefully this will show you just the difference between the thick and thin. So it's a little rough there, but you can see that I am getting some hairlines there. Interval strokes, but not combining them to go from thick to thin. Okay, so you have the Tombow dual brush. Alright, so that's this one. I do use the brush pens the most. That and the fine line pens are the ones that I grab the most often. Okay, so this is the Tombow dual brush. I would say that as a left-handed person, these are very hard for me to get a thin hairline. The tip is not as fine. It doesn't come to as good of a centered point as these smaller Fudenosuke brushes are. So I really do have to work close to the tip of the pen, and I really need to lift the pen off the paper. But it's still a broader line. The Pentel sign pen they do have a brush tip in that one. I do have that one if that's what you're using. I do have one of those in my drawer that I can show. So the Tombow pen, from the right side, again, you want to work close to the tip so you can control the pressure. And you're really going to push down on those downstrokes and then really come up off the paper on the upstrokes. Okay, so apparently when I work bigger, it's a little bit easier to work with my right hand. But you see, this is not a very fine point, so I'm not going to get a hairline like I do with the Fudenosuke pens, but I am still getting a thick and thin variation. I did another D. That's why I usually don't talk when I'm writing. It's definitely not as fine as the Fudenosuke pen. Okay. So the Pentel, or the Pitt pens, I know someone else was saying the Pitt pen. The Pitt pen is very similar to the Tombow dual brush. And again, I really do have to push down to get that, the thick, and then really just graze the paper on the way up. And I do tend to feel like I am pushing this pen past its limit to get the look that I'm going for, but it does seem to rebound a bit. It's definitely got some stress from how I use it, but it's the only way that I can get the thick and thins, is to really press down. And I'm totally not doing the alphabet in order here. So that's this is the Faber-Castell or Faber-Castell Pitt brush. So it's definitely, it's an okay pen, but it is not, to me, you really want those soft tip pens. The Fudenosuke pens are definitely, sorry, technical difficulty. It's a lot of it is practice varying that pressure, because once you understand about really lifting up and releasing on the upstroke and pushing down fairly strongly on that downstroke, then you'll start to feel a little more comfortable playing with the different pens. Do I remember what page the supply list is on? Yes, I will pull that up for you. On the bottom of each post, I do have the 31 Days to Love Your Lettering icon, and under that is some fine print, and there is a link. It says a list of basic supplies can be found in this post. Excuse me, and the post title is Do You Want to Learn Hand Lettering? And that has the full list of, it's really just a list of all the tools that I use over the course of lots of different creative lettering. So it's a pretty comprehensive list. You certainly don't need every single thing that's on there. But if you're looking for a certain pen, that would be the list that has the ones that I most often recommend. So hopefully that helps a little bit. So this is the Pentel Sign Pen with a brush tip. And this, to me, writes very similarly to the Fudenosuke pens. And the more I remind myself to slow down, the more I can concentrate on getting those hairlines on the upstroke. Are there any particular letters that it would help if I showed you? Have I ever used the sheesh? Yeah, I would totally not say that right. Similar to this pen. I have a bunch of different Japanese brush pens. I don't know how to pronounce all of them. There certainly are even more on the market that I have yet to try. I do try and sample lots of different ones, especially as a left-handed person, because I'm always looking for pens that will withstand the force that I put on them. Since I don't hold my pen hooked, so I'm not pulling the pen, I'm actually pushing it. So I always look for pens that will withstand that, because it's kind of undue wear and tear. But I do find that there's quite a few of them that are awfully forgiving for me to do it. So does that help at all with seeing how to really kind of slow down and pick that pen almost up off the paper when you're trying to get those upstrokes, the thin ones? You're welcome. Chaotic Blessing, remind me of your first name. I feel like I know it. I know as soon as you say it, I'm going to remember. Erica. Yep. Goodness, I did know that. Sometimes because on Facebook it's everyone's real name, and then on Instagram and here on Periscope I'm trying to remember the handles that go with it. Okay. So is there anything else that I can show you tonight as far as brush letter alphabets? Tomorrow we're going to talk about modern calligraphy, which is really just, as far as we're concerned for this series, it's just a take on the brush lettering. So modern calligraphy, just kind of, we're going to bounce along the lines. Capital W. Your thick lines look like your thin lines. So yeah. It's definitely try practicing with the pencil, because you can see the variations there too. There's Christmas. Someone asked for an uppercase W, and I do them a couple different ways. That would be one way, or I might do them like that. It would really depend on the overall look of what I was trying to write. So there's an M. What time of day? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that next week as we start to look forward to the next challenge. Capital F. So 10 o'clock or 10:30 is definitely helpful, because most of my children are sleeping, if not all of them. So there's an F. But it is kind of late, and I recognize that for those that are on the East Coast, you may want to get ready for bed, but I know that you guys enjoy being on live, so if we can come up with And then the other thing too is for the envelopes and for doing the mail art in November, since that's only weekly, I would probably do an evening time and a daytime, since I would only have to do one new topic each week. So it's a little bit easier to do twice. It works for you because the house is quiet too. Yeah, I think that was the general consensus when I was asking back right before the series began and we were trying to figure out a good time for the Periscope broadcasts. Yeah, if most people seem to still prefer the evening, it will definitely be, the main time, but I don't mind doing a daytime one also. Only 2 of my children are homeschooling, and then the toddler is home as well. So we shall see. I have to come up with a schedule for next month to see when we'll be on, and get back to some of the regular posts on the blog too, and kind of incorporating some of the new for the different art things. So, is there anything else that you guys would like to see? I'll go ahead and give this. Mixed lettering and structure for wording. Yes, that will be in the final week, which is next week. It should be this week, but we're still on brush lettering because of all the bumps that we had in the road with my travel, and then the day that my daughter was sick. So we are technically a week behind, but we will talk as we close up next week. We'll talk about mixing styles to do lettered pieces, lettering art. So yeah, we're going to have lots of fun. I will say that sometimes it's hard for me to mix styles. It's something I work on. So, awesome. Zachary, I am going to email my friend. I saw an update yesterday, but yesterday was the last update. He was weaned off supplemental oxygen, which was really, really awesome. And so I'm just going to look and contact her to see how everything went today, since I haven't seen any new news. It's difficult. I don't know if any of you have ever been on a NICU journey. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back is kind of par for the NICU course. I so appreciate you asking about him and praying for their family. And I will keep you updated. I can't wait to be able to tell you guys when he goes home with his mama, because I know he's got lots of siblings at home that are waiting for him to be in the house. I'm glad that the Tumbo guides were helpful as well. Oh, yeah, NICU is not fun. The best brush pen. So here would be my favorites. These are the Tumbo Fudenosuke pens. And then this is the Pentel Sign Pen, which I find has the tip that's most like the soft tip of the Fudenosuke. So these 3 would be the ones I would recommend. These 2 are almost identical. They're both soft tip brush pens. So you can see the Tumbo I actually use a little bit more often, so it looks to be more broad, but it's not. They write pretty much the same. And then the Blue Barrel Tumbo is a hard tip, so it does produce a finer hairline. But it is a little bit less forgiving. It does take a bit of practice to get that nice thick and thin. You do have to kind of push harder on it. Hobby Lobby, I do not have one in town. My closest Hobby Lobby is about a half-hour away, so I don't get there often. I do not know which brush pens that they have in stock. I probably will try to get there this weekend, but I can figure that out. You got your Tumbo brush pen, you love it much better than the other brush pen you had. Awesome, Dee. It's good. definitely, it was difficult to make sure that I was linking to the right ones to show you. So I have tried to post on the bottom lately of the pages that I put up to at least link to the pens that I'm using on those sample pages, so that hopefully that will help. I know that the Pentel sign pen with the brush tip I was able to find at my local Michael's store, and it was towards the back of the store. Well, and now it's the back, they just rearranged, where the fine art stuff and spray paint were. It was on an end cap. So that I was able to find locally. These were ordered online. Oh, thank you. Yes, the whole series is available on my blog. Let's see, I'll write that for you. Thank you. So the whole series can be found on the blog, and for any of the assignments that there was a periscope for, the catch version of that periscope is embedded on the bottom of that post. The whole series can be found. It's 31 Days to Love Your Lettering. There is an index post that I try to update each day. Yeah, it does always add the E, and I know in hindsight I probably would have just added it to the name to make it easier on everybody. Sometimes artistic flair does not help. But so creative, of course, is just denoting the art, and Lee is my nickname, and it was always my signature for signing my artwork from high school on up. So that's all I have for tonight, if there are no other questions. What was the pencil that I used? I used a soft lead pencil, and just an art pencil. This is the Prismacolor Scholar, which is fairly inexpensive. I believe it came in a package of a few different weights, and this was a 6B, and when you see the B at the back of a pencil number, that denotes that it's a soft lead. And so the soft lead pencils will definitely give you some more of the heavy lines on the downstroke when you're putting pressure on it. But I've also done it in just a number 2 pencil as well. The only thing is you'll want to make sure that the edge is a bit blunt. It's morning in Singapore. Oh goodness, yeah, it's bedtime here in Maryland. So thank you for joining. I love that I have henna friends on here now. I did a henna scope earlier when I was putting some henna on my daughter. So that's all I have for the lettering for tonight. I will go ahead and embed this into today's post, and then tomorrow we're going to be back at alphabets, and we're just going to talk about changing it up a little bit to give it that modern calligraphy look. And so these are, the brush pen kind of allows you to get a lot of the techniques that would normally be done with a pointed pen with less mess and less fuss, so it's a little bit of a more attainable lettering art. So that's all I have for tonight. It's been a pleasure having you here. If you have any questions after the broadcast, you can always send me an email through the website or send me a message on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm CreativLEI on all those places as well. I'll see you tomorrow.